Welcome to Running Your Stories. I'm here with Abbie and we're going to catch up from the last time Abbie was on. And Abbie's been doing the Cotswold Way in particular and a few other things to get ready for that. And I did the Lakeland 3D event that we're also going to chat about.
Yes.
So let's get into chatting about those.
Lovely. So we've both done multi-day events and comparing notes, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Because multi-day events very different to the big long all-in-one go kind of effort.
I can't comment on that one because I've only ever done multi-day events, and 34 is the furthest that my longest day has been. So I don't know. I'll believe you on that one.
Yeah, I think for me the difference with a multi-day event is you obviously you get to do those really big distances and cover a lot of ground and see a lot, but without completely smashing your body. Because
yes, you do. Yes.
Because when you do, or I find anyway, when you're doing it all in one go, the last at least 25%, if not 30, 40, 50%, you're kind of grinding your body down and sort of getting injured. Whereas I find I can go and do a reasonably equivalent, like 3-day event instead of doing it in one go, which might be 30 odd hours. And I'm just kind of fine. I'm just like, have a couple of days rest and get back to training.
Yes. Yeah, it certainly does give you you can rest, you can get on, you can recharge batteries, you can have a decent meal without thinking, I've got to carry on running, I can't eat loads, and you get to sleep. The disadvantage is, although physically you feel so much better, mentally it's really exhausting because you've got to psych yourself up to run all that distance. Yes. Again.
Yeah, so that was kind of hitting me a bit on day 3 actually.
Yeah. Well, the Cotswolds was a 4-day event, so beginning of day 4 I had a major wobble. I can't do this, I can't finish this.
Yeah.
So and I couldn't get over how tight. Physically, yes, I was a little fatigued because I'd run 107 miles in that time. It was my mental fatigue that I hadn't appreciated would be so strong. Yes. And that knocked me for a good 2-3 weeks. It's only really coming back now that I'm like, oh, actually, cope with the world now. Yeah,
and actually I found a similar thing even just from like an intense training schedule. It was when I was on my sort of big training schedule for the Spine Challenger. I got into last November, sort of late November, early December, and I injured. It was actually muscular, but the pain was coming in my knee, and so I had to back off to sort that out. But when I backed off, it was only for about 2 weeks before I could get back on training fully. But I hadn't appreciated how tired I was. Just so many things that had started to become difficult, like planning where I'm going to run today. Things like that were really difficult. And after a couple of weeks rest, I suddenly thought, actually, that's really easy. What was going on with me?
I just found it was my memory, trying to retain and function normally. I do. Can I apologise now to the pedantry student that was sat with me the afternoon that I'd finished my Cotswold's Way. I had a student with me the next day and went, oh, A, I didn't realise you were with me. B, what year are you?
Well, you've done some long flights because I know you've been out to New Zealand.
Yes.
Because I liken it to jet lag.
Oh, grief, yeah.
Because I've done a fair bit of like intercontinental travel with work, and when I can be jet lagged and feel fine. You know, obviously sometimes you feel ruined and you know where you're at then. But with jet lag, I can feel fine, and I'll start a sentence. I'll get halfway through the sentence and start forgetting words.
That's never occurred to me before, but you are so right.
And and that's the way I get after a really big
that makes absolute perfect sense. Although last time I had major jet lag, I just more felt like I was running through treacle. Yeah. Except this time, that makes absolutely perfect sense. Yeah.
So I mean, for me, because over 10 years now, I've been doing like I say, sort of flying out to USA or flying out to Asia on business. I've got used to dealing with it. Yeah. And I find that actually helps me a lot in the big races because I'm used to dealing with that jet lagged state. And I can function, not to the same level, but
I just found myself apologising to everybody and putting out a disclaimer, I'm really sorry, but...
Yeah.
Or showing off my medal.
Yeah.
And that seems to get around in a whole host of things.
Yeah. I mean, depending on who it is, you could just say you're jet lagged, because you'll come across exactly the same.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of message you're trying to put across.
I'm just trying to think, am I too far past it now to get away with that still? I'll try that one next week. So when was your multi-day event?
So mine was
And where was it?
Yeah, so the first bank holiday weekend in May, the early May bank holiday weekend, and it was up in the Lake District. It's called the Silva Great Lakeland 3-day event. And
Silva being the
sponsor, yes.
Compass people and the light people.
Yep. It's run by a company called Abbie Events. Why they have to choose names that are impossible to pronounce, I don't quite understand. Really, really good group of people. They also do the Dragon's Back and the Cape Wrath Ultra. Those people, which of course it's Berghaus Dragon's Back.
Yes.
You know, it's different sponsors on different events.
Yeah.
But Abbie Events are the people behind it.
That kind of oversee it all.
Yeah.
Right.
And really, really well organised. And so the idea of the Lakeland 3-day event is that you drive up to the lakes on Friday night, and it starts in a different place every year. They have taken it on tour once.
Right.
I think it's been going for 21 years now, or 22 years.
Quite a good following then.
Yeah. And so you drive up there. You sign up to the event without knowing where the start's going to be.
Great. Right. And how much notice do they give you?
Of the start location, a month or so.
Right, okay, so you've got enough time to plan to get there.
You've got enough time, this time it was quite easy, because it was, I'm thinking Pooley Bridge. You see, I jumped in the car with a friend. I don't mind where it is. So you get up there Friday night, you set up your tent.
Yeah.
You get given your map for the next 3 days. And the idea is that each day you're going to run to a new location, and you hand in a 60-litre dry bag with your tent and everything else in it. They move that to the next location. You turn up there, you unpack, set your tent up and things. Now the 2 years I've done it, the last year and this year, have been the only 2 years in its history where the sort of day, the Saturday night and the Sunday night campsites have been the same place. So you haven't had to take your tent down on Sunday morning and put it back up on Sunday night, which is nice.
Yes.
As long as it's obviously a really good location, which it has been both times. So you rock up Friday night, then you find out where you're going to be running when you start looking at your map.
Yes.
But the great thing about it is that on that map, and it's a provided map on waterproof paper, really nicely done. It's a Harvey Maps map. I think it's about 1 to 40,000, so it's a slightly odd scale when you're used to 1 to 25s or 1 to 50s.
Yeah.
But it fits nicely. It's about A3 sort of size.
But it's easy to fold up and shove in pockets and things, isn't it?
And so you got a choice of routes each day, and you're allowed to change route anytime you want.
Right.
Because you dib in your tracker thing on your wrist. So if you've dibbed everything for that class of route, you get put on the list to say what your timings are.
Right.
And if you could do completely your own thing, you just get listed separately somewhere.
Right.
So the event really seems to be centred around the Wainright routes.
Because all those are the ones that have been written about extensively, haven't they? And what have you? Yeah. So probably the most famous.
Yeah. So each day there, so the sort of Saturday and Sunday, you're doing about 22 miles over Wainwright summits. There's always the opportunity to take in an extra few Wainwrights if you want, that you don't really have to, which a few people do. Yeah. But it depends, what you're trying to do with the event. If you're trying to get round as fast as you can, you're obviously not going to. If you're trying to spend more time in the hills and bag a few peaks, then you will. And like on the Saturday morning, then you set off anywhere between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m.
Right.
So even when you see people out on the hill, you've no idea whether you're going faster than them or not.
Because you don't know what time
you don't. And so it's really relaxed in that you don't feel like you're competing all the time.
That's good.
There's no prize for first place, but it is all listed, so you can, sort of pay attention to it. But then there's also the cafe class, which is about 13 or 14 miles. On the 2 main days, and then the Monday's a slightly shorter day, so you're back a bit earlier to get backed up and off. But yeah, the cafe class goes over some, spectacular ground, but has a cafe in the middle of it.
Oh, that sounds... Yeah, that's
and people walk that.
Yes.
Quite. As long as you're a reasonable walker, you can go along and you can walk that and be in the whole event. And then there's the expert class, which is kind of like the Wainwrights. And then they must like throw a dart at the map at some far corner and say, "Yeah, you're going to do that peak as well and that one." But the real thing is that the cafe class, you're always going to be on really major trails. It's going to be the route is kind of obvious as soon as you say, I'm going to this checkpoint, this point. You go, that's really clear. The Wainright, you think about it a little bit, but as long as you sit down and think about it, you're on trails the whole time, and that's the intention. The expert, if you want to do it the quickest way, you're hardly ever on trails.
Oh, flip.
So
so that's where you are map and compass, and you expected to know stuff about it.
You're a mountain running expert.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
You can go along and like do expert on the first day and then drop down to Wainwright on the next day. Now the 2 years I've done it, I've stuck with the Wainwrights for the 3 days, which then means you get placed on your timing.
And have you stuck to those because you felt you've not got the experience to go higher, or you just want to stick to they get your placing?
Well, last year it was definitely not having the experience, because it was my first time ever running in the Lake District when I did it last year, so definitely didn't have the experience.
But since then you've done the Spine Challenge, which has given you considerable experience. So this time what I decided was that I could probably achieve the expert routes, but I'd be talking about leaving the campsite at 7 in the morning and getting back to the campsite between 7 and 9 at night, and then getting up at 7 again the next morning. Now, if that was going to be like my main, like an A event, A race kind of thing, I'd be very willing to do that, and it would be really good. But I looked at this as the start of my training for the Lakeland 100. Fair enough.
Go along, do the Wainwrights that I know I can do because I did it last year. See another part of the Lake District, and really see where my body's at. Because
so then you can plan.
Yeah, because then I know what level of training I'm ready to do, and where I'm at. So that worked well, but it's sometimes almost a bit flat when you haven't pushed yourself that hard. You've done the right thing. And now, a number of weeks later, when I've gone straight into my training program after only a few days rest, I know it was the right thing to do, and I'm really happy that I did that.
But there's that.
But at the time,
question.
I was thinking, I could have gone faster. I could have done an expert route one day, or it's like, it's a lot of travel, a lot of time away from the family, and it wasn't as spectacular as it could have been, but it was the right thing to do. It's
hindsight's wonderful, isn't it? You can think, if only And how? Because I know I've read about it. And how did you cope with? Because I noticed there's no water stops or anything like that provided. You had to get your own water. Did you have to fill up in streams and stuff, or did you manage to carry enough water?
Well, last year, I was up in the lakes a few weeks before it. I did the Teenager with Altitude fell race, which is a very tough fell race if you ever fancy really hurting yourself.
Oh great, you're selling it then.
Had a disastrous day, which sometimes it's really good, I think, to have a disastrous day, because it reminds you of really where you're at.
But you can learn from it as well.
Absolutely, I mean, I was 7th last.
Look, I've done last frequently, so welcome to the club. There's no harm. No,
not at all. But when you expect to be maybe in the top 30%, and you're in the bottom 5%, you've had a bad day. So,
fair enough.
But basically, it's been really dry so far this year.
Yes.
And that being out on top of the hills that day showed me that there's very little water high up in the Lake District at the moment. Almost anywhere in the Lake District. And so when I went on to the 3-day event, I very much had it in mind that unless it was a major waterway, not to rely on it.
Fair enough.
So I've carried too much water, more than I actually used.
Yeah,
but I ran out of water on the teenager, so
you don't want to take that risk. It's often better to have. That's the one thing you want too much of rather than not enough of, is the water, because even if it means you can share it with somebody else.
Yeah, so I think
offer it at least.
Yeah, I think the first day I set off with about 3 litres. Drank about 1 litre.
Yeah.
but
if you hadn't had that, because it wasn't exactly cold that weekend.
It was quite warm. The last year it had actually been even warmer.
Last year, cracking pebbles.
Yeah, it was scorching. But last year there was water on the ground.
But we'd had all that snow before.
Yes,
we haven't had the snow this year.
Yeah. Although that was kind of the funny thing, when I went over Helvellyn, it actually snowed.
Oh,
and it was
in May.
Yeah.
Wow.
Only a tiny little bit, and there was a tiny bit of hail, and there was a tiny bit of snow on the ground still from the winter.
Yeah.
Yet the temperature was probably getting definitely into the high teens on the same day.
Somebody obviously forgot to tell the snow that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's mountain running, isn't it? That you get all seasons in one day.
Yes.
So the water was something I was very careful about, making sure I carried plenty. And I actually ended up carrying, because overnight on the Friday night, it was one of the coldest nights I've camped out in Scotland in the winter, but that Friday night was really cold. It was definitely below freezing overnight, and so when we set off on the Saturday morning, I was carrying more like warm clothing than I normally would as well, because it was freezing. It soon warmed up, but it was a very cold start, which generally suits me for running wise. But it was.
But it just means the sack's so much heavier.
Yeah, it was just changing temperature so much. So each day my sack got lighter.
Yes.
Because the second day I was more confident about not taking quite as much water, so I took 2 litres instead of 3.
Yeah.
And then the third day was a shorter day.
Yeah, so you didn't need quite so much.
Only probably 1.5 litres or something. So again, sack got lighter each day.
I must admit, I found the same. On the first day, it forecast horrendous rain, so of course full complete heavy waterproofs with me. I had enough water to last me all day, even though it was a half day. I had all the food with me, everything I needed. Second day, I thought, I can sack off the food because I'm not eating it, and there were enough for us that we had plenty of pit stops on the way, which is great. But I still had the heavy waterproofs in. Third day, I was like, no, the heavy waterproofs went to a little stuff sack, anorak. And third day, I was like, water, stuff sack, nothing else. So on the third day, I was like, I can cope with this. This is really long. I had my torch and everything with me on the first day, just in case. Turned out needed none of it.
Yeah, and I think that's very much everybody's experience. That, I mean, partly it's when you first start doing events of the type.
Yes.
You tend to. Well, I guess there's 2 ways it can go. You can either be naive and ignorant and not carry enough and get yourself into trouble, or most people go overcautious and carry a bit too much, and then as you get more confident you carry less. But also, as you say, that's one of the beauties of a multi-day event, is that each day you can completely remake the decision about what you're carrying.
Absolutely.
You get used to what that weather forecast says versus what's actually on the ground.
Very much so. And not the kind of area you're in, the terrain you're in, and all the rest of it. I didn't go anywhere near as high as the Lake District, but we certainly had some decent hills there. But I also knew that actually I can see the top of the hill. There's no cloud, we're fine. I can see the Channel and Wales beyond.
Yes.
In fact, I can see the Black Mountains. I think we'll be fine for rain today. I don't need all this stuff.
Yeah. So how does it work on the Cotswolds Way?
On the Cotswolds, it was with a company called Run 101. Fabulous little company. They've been running it for 7 years. There were 35 of us in total doing the full 4-day event. There were 2 groups of people doing it as a
just when you mentioned
event.
35 on the Lakeland 3-day event, I think there was 400.
Wow. Wow. But yeah, there were 35 of us.
Yeah.
But that was nice because it meant everyone went. I went with a friend, but she's quite a bit faster than me.
Yes.
So we ran together on the first day, but on the second day I was like, yeah, I'll see you at the end. But it always meant that we knew that there was somebody on the trail, and we could run with somebody if we wanted.
Yes.
We could run our own. It wasn't a problem. But because there was so few of us, we got to know everybody. And what was really nice is that the support team were the same on all 4 days, as were the medics, and they got to know us too.
Mm-hmm.
So on the third day, my friend got a little bit misread the map, and so because they knew it should take her about, I'm picking out numbers because I really can't remember off the top of my head how long it should have taken her, an hour and a half, and she still wasn't there. After 2.5 hours, they rang her to make sure she was all right.
Yep.
I'd managed to catch her, turn around, point her in the right direction, but they checked on her because they knew where she should have been.
Mm.
So it's lovely little things like that.
Yes.
Somebody else went a bit awry, so they rang her to make sure she was all right.
Yep.
And hadn't gone, because they knew when people should be. We didn't need to dip in and out. They just kind of ticked us off. We had to sign in, but they knew who to expect.
Yep.
When. It also meant that when we were a bit ahead of when they expected us, oh, you're all doing really well today. So don't jinx it. Please don't jinx it. So that's how that works. I paid a little bit more to have a pre-pitch tent. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I'm really glad I did. Because the idea of having to get in and put up a tent did not appeal in the slightest. So I take my hat off to you for getting in and putting up your tent.
Yeah.
And sorting everything out. Well, I just got there, my tent was erected, my luggage was in my tent, and the airbed was there waiting for me. It was fab.
Yeah, it just reminded me when I arrived at the campsite on the Saturday afternoon stroke evening. You pick up your dry bag, and then it's basically just a field that they're using, and then they have a big marquee and everything up where all the food and everything is. And so I thought, well, my friend Jim, who would set off together and then ended up quite far apart. So I thought, well, I'll go and sort of bags the spot for our tents. Yeah. And then I'll come back and kind of wait for him, make sure he gets a beer straight away kind of thing.
Important thing.
So I went, put my bag down, thought, okay, that's sorted, went back. So he came in, greeted him. I left my bag over here, so we've got a spot. I went over and it's just surrounded by tents. It's like, there's not even space to put my tent up between them. It was just like, it was an empty field, and I put my bag there, I came back, and there's like tents everywhere. Yeah, but it's kind of interesting as well, because especially because we're in the same place for 2 nights, we got to know we're like tent neighbours.
Yes.
And so on the third day, I'm trying to debate over going a direct route up this hill or up this zigzag. And this guy starts sort of coming past me to go straight up. Yeah. I said, oh, hello, tent neighbour. Yeah. I know you're on the expert course and you're doing really well. I'm going to follow you.
That's helpful. That is really, really helpful. That was the other good thing, because there were so few of us. There were quite a few. There were a group that were running for a charity called Super Heroes, who raise money for children with cancers. But so they're running in red capes. The ladies had tops on, the men did not. The men really should have had tops on, especially on the second day, because they caught the sun and burnt. But that was our plan. But because they'd done it for several years, they knew the routes, and they were more than happy to share their knowledge of day 2. It's a tough day, it's a long day, but it's the majority of your climb. Yeah. Is in day 2. Day 3 is a bit easier, but you've got some climbing. Day 4 is great. So they gave hints and tips, and just watch out at this point because that sign's disappeared and what have you. So the atmosphere in the camp was great. Everybody got on, and there was just lots and lots of sharing going on. Yeah. It worked. It really did work really well. I was really, I like this. Yeah.
So what's the trail itself like? Is it?
The trail itself, it's actually a national trail. So it's all marked with assigned to an acorn. Yep. So there's a network of national trails throughout the country. Hadrian's Wall being one of them. This one being another. Ridgeway. There's 7 or 8 of them throughout the country, and it's a complete mixture of bit of road, trail, track, through woods, through up hills. I passed long burrows. I passed ancient forts. I passed battlegrounds from the Wars and the Roses in the 16th century. I passed manor houses with moats and geese to go with it. Not many cow fields, thankfully. Not many cow fields, but a complete mixture of stuff, and there was, as well as moorland and ancient woodland. It really did vary. Garlic, as far as the eye could see, thankfully not too much oilseed rape, so we had farmland as well in all that lot. It really did vary, and each day you kind of had a bit of everything. It was constant, varied, but thankfully very well signposted until you got into Bath, and then the signs sort of disappeared. But we were told as soon as you get into Bath, just make it straight to the cathedral. Yeah. So head for the signs for the cathedral. We didn't go too far wrong. So complete mishmash of stuff. We came across Roman forts, all sorts. It was a fascinating place, absolutely fascinating. Little picturesque villages. Not many pubs were open either. But I didn't find any pubs on top of the mountains. Did you not? No. Oh, how dare they? No. I'm sorry, that's where I think the Welsh got it right with Snowdonia. At least they put a cafe at the top. Yeah, I'm not sure that's right. I'll leave that one open to discussion. Yeah, but as I say, I mean, again, you can do the cafe route, and then there was some people who were kind of in between levels, and they discussed it with the organisers. Yeah, and they sort of did about a third or so of the Wainright route, and then kind of cut off a section, right, and then sort of finished on it. So they ended up with like a level in between, right? Oh, wow. Which means obviously you don't get an official timing or anything, but you've done what you wanted to do. They can achieve what they wanted. You've gone out and run to your capability. Yeah, but they would have also been able to improve from doing just above their level. Yes, but still be within, not too far out their comfort zone that they feel unsafe. Yeah, fab. But so it's definitely a great event like that. So I think one of the things I learned a little bit from last year, because you're given this map with like the sort of checkpoints on it where you need when you need to go and dib. First thing I learned last year is don't miss dibbing something. I missed the very first one last year, even though we went through the gate where it was. And did you provide your own dibbers, or did they provide it for you? No, they provided for you. Yeah. And so that was a good lesson. Don't miss any. But what happened by you missing them? Well, technically we got disqualified by missing them. Yeah. But we went and had a chat with Shane, the race director, who's a really nice guy, and as he said, it's not set up as a race. Yeah. The tracking and everything's there. So if you want to go fast and check how you're doing and things like that, you get the data. Yes. But it's not a really competitive race, so they reinstated us. Oh, that's good. Because there wasn't any route where we could have got an advantage by missing that one. Yeah. It was one of those where, well, you have to go through there anyway, and I've got it tracked on Strava if you want to see it. But they were really good about it, and we sort of said, oh well, how can we say thanks? And said, well, tell your friends. Well, fair enough. And there's more of my friends there this year, so that was Brilliant. Good. Brilliant. Yeah, a couple of friends were on the cafe route this year. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, they really enjoyed that, especially when they did an extra ascent of Helvellyn on day 2 that they didn't really need to do, but hey, they had a good long 10-hour day. Yeah. No, I must admit, that's what I enjoyed about the Cotswold Way. It wasn't a race; it was sold as a challenge. Yes. So it's a personal challenge. So there was no first, second, third, fourth. Didn't matter. There was no timing, but they knew where we all were. Yes. Although there was that guy there that was doing. Our longest day was 34. That was his worst day. It took him 6 hours. 30 including all the ascents. Just clarify, when you say 34, we're talking... 34 miles, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. My 30-mile day with all the ascents took me 8 hours. He'd rocked up at the campsite before they'd even set at the pub at 1 o'clock. Yeah. Well, again, it's not normal. No, and he set off about the same time as everybody else. Yeah. Well, that's why we were told, that you can set off anywhere between 7 and 9 if you're on the Wainright. If you're on the cafe, I think they say between 8 and 9. Yeah.
And if you're on the expert, between 7 and 8, it's kind of thing,
Yeah.
Start a bit earlier because it's going to take you longer. And they're saying, don't come back in before it's 2 p.m. or whatever on the Saturday and Sunday, because things won't be set up.
No, well, I don't think the race organisers expected him that early either. They were a bit, hello.
And I think actually on the last day, somebody did a similar thing. There were, I think there was a pair of them in before things were set up, and so their finish time was given as the time when things were set up, not the time they arrived, which is fair, because you're told very clearly this is the earliest you can do it. And that's when you've got a range of levels. Like if I went and did the cafe thing, I'd be finished too fast. So that's why I go do the Wainrights. And
but no, he was running with the team. There were 4 of them in their kind of tent bit, and they were all like, "Yeah, we just let them get on with it." the rest of the team were coming in about the same time as the rest of us, because they're parts why I ran with them. It's like, yeah, he's special. We'll just let him get on with it. It's fine.
Yeah, but maybe he's just not confident about going into some of the tougher races. And
maybe, or that it was a lads' weekend away with a slight difference.
Yeah,
I don't know. I never did get to the bottom of that one, actually.
Yeah, because that's an interesting thing as well. Because as you say, I mean, these are both really challenge events that we're talking about, rather than being races.
Yeah.
As opposed to something like the Dragon's Back, which is a multi-day event, but very much a race.
It is very, very, very much a race.
It's very, very tough as well. I know some tough people that didn't make it, didn't make the cut-offs on it.
Wow. But I'm sorry, I'm in love with the winner from another blog that I follow, Beauty in the Bog, and they're a group of lasses from Sheffield, and one of them won it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
She must be tough, because that is a very
she did the Munros in last summer.
Yeah.
She got the most Munros done in a certain set amount of time, something like 80 or so. Yeah.
Nice.
They are hardcore, absolutely hardcore.
I have heard of them.
No. These aren't that well. Yours might be. Mine was a lot more relaxed. It was still. Don't get me wrong. It's still tough. It still had its moments that were hard, and there were times I was very glad I had my walking poles, because some of the ascents. I don't know whether you've all seen on YouTube the cheese rolling hill that they roll the full cheddar cheese. Yeah, we ran up that.
You say ran?
Okay, I crawled up that with my poles.
Yeah, because I went up some things probably steeper than that, and I definitely wasn't running.
It was akin to. It wasn't nowhere near running. It was just got halfway up thinking, where's the oxygen? Yeah, it was harsh.
Yeah, they have this special idea as well that they've done the last 2 years, where it must be at the end of day 2. They throw in what, when you look at it on the map, looks like a little hill, because you've been up Helvellyn or something up at whatever that is, about 700 metres or something.
Oh, sure.
It's something of that order, and then you look on the map and there's this little hill that's about 300 metres. It's significantly smaller.
Yeah.
But it's like really steep up and really steep down, and it's at the end of a
long day.
And,
they're tough.
Really tough. Those little hills are a nice little kind of spike in the tail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I can relate to that one.
Yeah, but the funny thing was that I found after like 3 days of running like this, when I looked at the timings, the person ahead of me on the timings was 11 seconds ahead. How can you possibly beat that close? I still need to track this guy down and start running with him if we're that close after 3 days.
Whoa, or tie his laces together just to get the advantage of 11 seconds.
Well, yeah, if I'd known.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I mean, one of the mornings, as I kind of set off, I haven't started my watch, and I'll put my gloves on or whatever.
Yeah.
There's 11 seconds, 30
just
seconds
like
gone, just like that.
All you've got to do though is hesitate on the top of a stile, or just go, wow, that's a great view.
Yeah, I mean, there's other ones where you run past the checkpoint and realise, and it's only 100 yards, but it's very little in it. One of the interesting adventures that I had was I had 2 pairs of worn shoes, and I'd been debating about buying some more, and really didn't have the money to buy any more. And thought, okay, I'll take 2 pairs of worn shoes. And so I wore 1 pair on day 1, and they survived okay, but my feet were hurting a little, and that there were trail shoes, and some of what we were doing was definitely mountain rather than trail, and it just didn't protect my toes quite enough. Grip wise, they were fine. So then I changed into the mountain shoes on the second day, and they fell apart.
Oh, flip!
Like it was the upper just ripped across the toes.
Yes.
And then once that's happened, it ended up, it was just it was kind of like wearing a flip flop.
A flip. And how far into the day was that?
Well, it was basically just after the top of Helvellyn.
And how far do you run at that point?
I'd probably run a couple of hours out of a 6-hour day.
Oh, great.
You know, it's maybe 2.5 hours into a 6.5 hour day.
Eesh.
But the funny thing was, the shoe actually worked okay. It was only when we were running through like some long grass, I ended up with my shoe full of grass, like under my toes. Other than that, I was worried all the time about getting stones in there.
I don't know.
I was just really lucky not to.
You were lucky not to be stabbed with seeds as well, because they can be really painful if you get a seed head in.
But yeah, I managed to finish the day with my shoe in that state, and then I had to wear the other ones again for the third day, which wasn't ideal.
You know, it's Father's Day coming up. If you want some hints, let me know. I'll have a quiet word. Please can you buy your dad some new shoes?
But I mean, I'm just kind of back to the drawing board with shoes, and that I moved over to Ultra shoes because I'd lost toenails. I've tried Scots and Salomons and La Sportivas and lots of different ones, and they all basically meant losing toenails if I do anything long.
Right.
I've got a very square front to my foot.
Okay, I'm just thinking
shoes are very tapered. So Ultra is a very wide.
Right, it is, and wide rounded. I'm just thinking you need to go up half a shoe size or a shoe size.
No, I'm up 2 shoe sizes,
and
then you trip over the front of your shoes, and they still catch my little toe. I mean, So the Ultra shoes, all my toenails start growing back, great, and then they just fall apart on me. And I'm kind of thinking, that's not good.
No. How rude. Everything you did miles in them.
Well, I can't think exactly, but after sort of getting back from that, I obviously kind of didn't really feel like I wanted to wear my Ultra shoes very much, because I was a bit annoyed with them.
Yes.
And so I went back to my old Scots where I'd lost toenails, but only after running 40 miles plus, and I wasn't about to do that, so I thought, I'll put those on. They'd done more miles than the ones that fell apart, and they still look in good strong condition. But if I run more than 40 miles, I lose toenails. And actually, just doing like even 20k runs in them now, my toenails are hurting again. So yeah, I need to go and visit the shop where we met.
I think you do.
And just get because they've got a very good range.
They do.
And
they do at the moment.
Just talk through exactly what might and might not work. Because it's something to do with like the way the upper creases against my toes and things like that. And
because although I had absolutely no major blisters at all for the entire 4 days, and I'd done 107 miles, and it was up ditch, down dale, through water, through mud, through, you've named it, I'd run through it over the course of the week. No blistering really, except I did lose my fourth toenail. I had a blister just at the nail fold. And the whole lot came off. I was like, what the? I couldn't see anything rubbing. I couldn't feel anything. But that was just weird.
That's
and it's never happened.
Well, that's what's happened to me with the La Sportivas.
Right. Well, that happened at 85 miles.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel it rubbing at all.
It's partly because your feet start swelling up and they change their shape.
Yes.
And so a shoe that was completely fine before and even afterwards,
Yeah.
at that point after you've run that
obviously
far.
my fourth toe must have swelled twice the size of everything else in my shoe.
But it could be something else that's swollen and just shoved that slightly to the side.
That could well be it.
You know,
Yeah, or the combination of everything swelling and just,
yeah, exactly. And that's the difficult thing then, is that you then need to try and work out a new combination, but you don't know whether it works until you get to mile 80.
Yeah.
And so
it's one of those.
It's really not easy. And
then I've also got the viewpoint of, if it doesn't grow back, it's not a big problem.
Yeah, mine have grown back.
Yeah, I'm secretly hoping it doesn't. So when I'm older, I'd have to worry about it. But
the last podcast I was doing with Wouter, who he won the Spine Challenger last year, and he's just done the the Peter Pad 495 kilometre.
Wow, what does he wear?
Well, he wears Innovates, and he loses toenails.
Oh, fine.
And he puts up with it because he wins races in them.
Okay, fair enough.
And it's kind of like, if you want to win the race, you need to wear a shoe that's tight enough that you can run fast on the technical ground.
Yes.
And if you're going to have a shoe that tight, you're going to lose toenails.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, it's an interesting point of view.
Yes.
I was hoping there was another answer, which I'm still looking for.
I'm sure there is. But overall, I found my shoes to be particularly comfortable. I had no other problems with them. It's just that one random bit. I was like, I can cope with that.
Yeah. If it was only that.
Although I do wonder if I changed into slightly thinner shoes from that distance onwards, it might well just do it, because I've got that bit more room to play with. Thinner socks, sorry.
Yeah.
I've got that room to play with.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I've done on the Spine Challenger is started off in one pair of shoes and then changed to a bigger size later in the race.
That's sensible.
Although there's only one checkpoint where you can change your shoes, so it's kind of just under halfway.
Yeah.
But still,
by that point, your feet are swollen enough to be able to.
Yeah, and it just gives you that backup as well of, you've got two pairs of shoes with you, as I did on this 3-day weekend. Otherwise, I'd have been a bit stuffed.
Yes. Yeah, I must admit, I had two pairs with me. I had my trail stroke mountain stroke everything shoes and road shoes, because I just didn't know if it was going to be too dry, too wet. Just didn't have a clue. As it turned out, I lived in my trail shoes and my flip-flops. That did the trick. Yeah, well, that was kind of my debate before the weekend, because I've only got it was a very tightly restricted 60-litre dry bag with a tent and everything in there. Then it was kind of, right, do I put in a pair of flip-flops, which is much more comfortable around the campsite, or a pair of waterproof shoes in case it's wet on the campsite, or a spare pair of running shoes? I'll go with the spare pair of running shoes this time, because I don't know these are going to last. And I was right about that. That's where I wasn't disadvantaged, because I wasn't limited to. We were told we had allowed one bag, so 2 bags including a tent, because we did have the option of bringing a tent if we wanted, and then everything had to fit in that one bag, so I wasn't quite so limited. I couldn't tell you how heavy it was, not a clue. But I was able to put a bit more in, including my own pillow. I don't have a problem sleeping in a tent, on an airbed, in a sleeping bag, but I want a pillow. Don't you just use a dry bag full of clothes? No, because I'm a princess when it comes to that, and I knew I was running multi-day, and I knew I needed sleep, and that was the one little luxury I afforded myself, was my own pillow. Well, the Friday night when it was really cold, I didn't sleep. But the rest of the nights I slept very well. I'm sure. Even though my sleeping mat leaked. Oh no. So again, after learning that on the first night, I then just stuffed every spare thing I had underneath it for the other 2 nights. So I mean, it seems to be that, when you buy in the ultra lightweight stuff, it doesn't last as well as the slightly heavier stuff. No. But then maybe we give it all a bit more welly than it's meant to. I don't know. No, it's going to get rough. But I guess actually in relation to that, one of the things I was really happy about with the whole sort of 3 days was, I had shoes falling apart. Yeah. What had been my favourite sleeping mat ever dying on me, and really struggled to motivate myself on day 3 to get going. But
my sort of mindset and how I responded to all of those things was far better than ever before, because one of the things I've been working on is sort of when I did the Hardmoor 60 last year, it was the first time I stayed in a positive frame of mind all the way through that, and I had a trekking pole snap. You know, there were a few setbacks, and it was a much hotter day than expected. But then realising that you can't just, if you rely on just staying positive, at some point something's going to go badly enough wrong that you then kind of fall off, you know. So very much been working on resilience and how you sort of bounce back from these things, and ultimately the way I motivated myself on that day 3, when I was just struggling to get going, I actually got, on purpose, got really angry with myself, just in my head, started swearing, shouting, just to see how it would work.
And did it work?
And it did work.
Excellent.
And I started running much better. And it was just really interesting to do that on purpose, as a sort of mind experiment about, because I'd found on the Spine Challenger I'd got angry in the night with my GPS that wouldn't do what I wanted, and I found that woke me up. And I'd kind of put that in the back of my mind that, okay, maybe you can use anger in quite a positive way in the right circumstance. So this came up and I thought, oh, here's a nice chance to try this out. I wonder if this will work. And it did.
Well, I had a bit of a reverse, because mine was over 4 days. On the 4th day I had a major wobble of, what am I doing? I can't do this. Last time you did this distance you were injured. And I just thought, I can't do this. I really can't. My sister, bless her, she'd come over to visit on the Saturday night because she only lived half an hour away, and she brought Coke and sweets and stuff with her, which was absolutely lovely. She texted me, say, good luck, you've got this. I texted her, but I can't do it. Yes, you can. Get on with it. All right then. Once I'd started, I was absolutely fine, but bless her, she'd also given my best mate a nudge and my brother a nudge as well, and they'd sent messages as well. I think my brother probably went, she's doing what? when did she say she was doing that? But he still messaged, bless him. And that, as soon as I got going, it was fine, but it was just that, what are you doing? Mental. But during the actual doing it of it, mentally, I have had periods before where I've just gone up, what are you doing? You can't do this. What do you think you're doing? I think
everybody has those on ultras.
Well, it's not just ultras. I had that when I first started running. It was very much, and started running with the club, I very much had that of, well, what makes you think you can represent the club? Touch wood, I've got on top of all that, and I didn't have it during the actual runs itself. It's just that one morning where I had the major wobble.
Yeah, and because it's an interesting thing, really, because a lot of people write about how much running can help with mental health and getting outside and everything else, and then a few people start to realise that you just got to be a little bit careful that running isn't too much of a crutch to lean on, because you will have a wobble with it. Whether it's because of injury or whether it's just a bad day, or there can be all kinds of reasons that can cause it. But if that's something you lean on too much and then that wobbles,
you could end up in a worse state than you're ready at. It's finding that happy balance, isn't it? But I think if you're aware that that things can wobble, you're fine.
Well, it certainly makes it a lot better, because again, after doing that event, and then I've been getting into my sort of main training. Actually, the other thing that happened on the event is I'd had a minor injury that I'd managed to look after pretty well myself about a month before. I just twisted my ankle and just not pulled, but kind of slightly tweaked some tendons, and having had other tendon injuries, I recognised what it was and did all the right things, and it stopped hurting. Well, late on day 2, it started hurting again. And I'm thinking, like, okay, should I do day 3? What's it going to be like? And it was actually once I got into my head that it wasn't a case of saying, do it or die kind of thing, or sort of really negative, like, or wasn't like sort of macho of that. Yeah, I'm going to run through this or something.
Yeah.
It was just it'll be what it'll be.
Yeah.
And then I relaxed about it. And actually, by the end of day 3, it wasn't hurting at all, and I've had no issues with it since.
Yeah. How much of that was the body gut? Well, it could also be you were tired, and I think when you're tired as well, a lot of pain to come out. Then when you relaxed, slept, eaten.
Well, something else I've found is that as you say, when you're tired, pains start to come out without a shadow of a doubt, and I think there's a lot about how you mentally react to that pain.
Well, there's papers and papers. Yeah, that's a completely different topic.
Yeah.
About pain perception. Actually, I'll send you some links. Loads of papers about it out there, and that depending on how you deal with it, depends on how bad the pain gets and how chronic it becomes. And so, completely agree with you there.
Yeah,
the papers galore.
Yeah, well, one of the tricks that was kind of mentioned to me, and I've tried and found it works phenomenally well, is if you start getting a pain that you kind of realise you're worrying about. Experiment with it, like land your foot differently and kind of go through a whole bunch of motions, because again, a part of it I guess ultimately is you're starting to engage the sort of logical parts of your brain, which makes you process the information a bit differently. And because in the past I was having issues with IT band, and so when that started on the Spine Challenger, it was kind of okay, let's play with this. Land my foot differently. Somewhere in amongst the sequence of things, it just stopped hurting. Yeah, and didn't hurt again.
This distraction therapy. it is pure distraction therapy at its best.
But it's really strange. I mean, the tendon injury I got, it got me through the race doing that. Yeah. But obviously, it was a real injury where something was. It was a trauma, so it wasn't going to go away.
It wasn't the brain playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
And going hello.
Yeah.
It was more because actually I have really hurt this.
Yeah. But still, it can help you get yourself off the hill or get yourself to a safer place.
Definitely.
While doing that. The thing, of course, we then have to be careful with is when you're training and you start thinking, I can play tricks in my head and ignore this injury, which is then again
get it checked out first before you start ignoring it.
Exactly.
That could be something far bigger that comes to bite you on the bum. Definitely, especially if you're aware of I did this, I've sprained that. Get it seen to. Very much so.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So, with the event you did they feed you, or did you have to provide your own evening meals and things?
So it's a little bit of both, in that the idea of the event is to bring everything you need to eat for the whole thing in your dry bag.
Heck. I wouldn't have room for anything else.
Well, yeah. However, they also have like food vans.
Yeah. Right.
On site where you can go and buy stuff.
Okay.
So it's kind of So my view is eat both. I take just enough.
Yes, and then top it up.
And then buy burgers and beer every day.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. So that's the way I've done it, because it works for me. It's fine. I like to eat a lot.
Because that was what was nice about the vet I did, is that they provided breakfast and dinner, and then there were pit stops on the way that had fruit, different cereal bars, crisps, popcorn, drinks, loads of different things.
And I think this is the thing that it really depends what the experience is that you're looking for, and it's one of the difficult things, I'm sure, for anybody that's trying to do something like this for the first time. There is such a range and so many different things you can do.
Definitely. Absolutely. But I like the fact that that was one less thing I had to worry about.
Yes.
I didn't have to worry about cooking for myself, and they moved all our stuff on, because obviously we moved down the Cotswolds. They moved all our stuff on for us, and the first night we stayed at a proper campsite, and then we had a meal cooked for us in the cafe that was there. The second night we stayed at a scout camp, big county-wide scout camp, and they used the kitchens there to provide food for us. Then on the third day, we were at a camping barn. So all the barn had the facilities. It didn't have cooking facilities, so they brought in an external company that cooked for us. But it also made it all very much more sociable, because you were chatting you sat on tables with different people. You were chatting to different people as you ate. Although I must admit, the breakfast got full English. Yay, let's go for it. And on the last day, cereal. Yeah, that would do just nicely. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Although actually, I've worked out what works for me, at least, for like campsite preparing it yourself breakfast for these kinds of events. So you know, you can get those little pots of just pour hot water in porridge. Yeah. Which, you know, they provide energy. They've got a lot of the things in there, but they don't taste very good.
The only downside for me is the porridge.
And then, well, what I do is then buy some of the, you know, bit expensive, really nice tasting muesli kind of stuff with lots of fruit in it. And so I do, so one of those pots and a little bag of muesli stuff, which I also put my seeds in, because I like to eat my seeds every day. And so I just pour, you know, make up the porridge, pour that in there, stir it all up, and
nice
that's
and hot.
Yeah,
Sorted.
That's at least warm anyway, and it's really tasty, and it got a lot more to it, and what I'm looking for. Yet you've still got the convenience of this just pour hot water in kind of thing, rather than trying to cook something up in a pot. But that's worked really well for me this time. See other people trying to eat this stuff that they don't like the taste of, and it's like,
I'm sorry,
mine tastes great.
That would be me trying to eat the porridge. I can't stand the stuff. Never been able to stand the stuff. Give me. Yeah,
you've gone down on my estimation.
Oh, sorry. Completely.
But it depends what you put in there.
No, it's the texture of it. I just don't.
But again,
too claggy.
Depends what you put in there, how you make it.
I've tried so many different. I've had it made from scratch. I've had it made with water, full milk straight from the cow, all sorts. I just still can't stomach it.
Because it's something I've got into more recently. Although often these days I don't eat breakfast because I'm doing time restricted eating. But it's when I do a morning run. It's really important to eat after, otherwise you don't recover, and then your next run's going to really suffer. So that's when I tend to eat my porridge these days. And one of the things I've really liked is since I've started putting seeds in there, because then you've actually got something to chew on.
Yes, it gives it that texture.
Yeah.
I think that's why. Give me rice pudding, and I'm quite happy. But then it's got a bit more texture, a bit more oomph to it than porridge.
But then I also found more recently as well is, let's put everything in there. I'll put Greek yogurt in there as well, which tastes a bit odd. Yeah. But even though, you know, porridge is a good complex carbohydrate, I still get something of a insulin spike and dip from it.
Yes, because although it's not quite as long acting as you need it to be.
Whereas if I put a spoon or two of Greek yogurt in there with all the protein and fat that's in that, it just slows down the digestion and just smooths things out. Have you tried,
if it's kind of, Greek yogurt can have a bit that kind of slightly acidic, funny taste to it. Yeah. If you perhaps swapped it with Alpro, the soy yogurts, it's a bit smoother.
Yeah, I mean, I often make the porridge with soya milk rather than cow's milk. Yeah. Partly just because of I find I'm sometimes eating too much dairy, and so if I put soya milk in that, it's one less portion of dairy a day.
Fair enough, but I was thinking that it's just a bit of a smoother yogurt, but you still get all the proteins and everything that you need that the Greek yogurt would give you.
Yeah. I'll give it a go.
It's not as
because again, if I know I'm not going to be eating between sort of 9 at night and maybe 1 p.m. the next day with a run in the middle, I eat something high in protein and fat last thing at night, because then I don't get that hunger, which often is the Greek yogurt, and it gets a bit repetitive every day. So I'll have a go with the soy one.
Experimenting. You can get different flavours. Soy yogurt as well.
Yeah,
it'll give you a variety of flavours.
Yeah. Well, I'll put different things in there all the time anyway. But we'll give these things a go.
Absolutely.
It's all good.
But no.
So Actually, just looking on my notes, one other thing I particularly wanted to ask you about is the big run weekend that you went on.
That was fabulous. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was part of Sheffield Outdoors. It's so that was at the end of March. It was one of they have a big outdoor festival, and it was kind of part of that. But the big run weekend is run by Accelerate Running, and it's designed for runners. And it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or you run for Britain. It's aimed at everybody. It starts on the Friday night and goes through to the Sunday. On the Friday night they have a 5k run and a slightly longer run as well if you wanted to do that. They also have talks from various runners. I can't remember who they had because I didn't make it down for the Friday night. Then on the Saturday they have workshops for running up hills, running down hills, doing drills, doing lots of different elements, balance, strength, that kind of thing. They have long runs, so I know they went up to Stanage Edge this time. And then they have various talks. They had a talk from somebody who runs in the Pyrenees. I'm sorry, I'm rubbish with names at the moment. I'm getting over an ultra.
Ultra jet lag.
Absolutely. I'm going to coin that one. We had Runners Against Rubbish, where they came and talked about collecting and plogging, where you go out and run and pick up rubbish and what have you. Yeah,
I had not a great experience with that because we were out running just with some friends on a normal kind of running the local trails, and we thought, there's a bottle there, we'll pick that one up. Once we've picked one up, you see the next one, you think, we better pick that one up. Within 5 minutes we had more than we could possibly carry. Even though they seemed to be really spaced out, it just once we started picking them up,
this is why
amazing how
you run and collect it, but you have bags and then
I need to
look into
go on some of my runs with a bigger pack so that I can just collect, because we had every little pocket stuffed in the packs.
We also had a talk from a gentleman who goes out to Africa and takes running shoes out with them, so because they have nothing like that and things like this, so that goes on. And then on the Sunday,
I need to make some donations to him at some point.
Well, they had 2 huge wheelie bins and everyone had to get going, it's not the rubbish, it's the shorts. And 2 big wheelie bins full by the weekend. There are loads of different manufacturers there. So Scott were there, Innovate were there, Saucony I think were there, Silva were there, somebody else was there. And I tried a pair of Scots, and I must confess they almost didn't get them back at the end. But there were lots and lots of different things going on throughout the whole of it. There were challenges going on. They had hill challenges. There was, on the Sunday it's more open to families and kids, but there was a lot going on for anybody with an interest in running, whether it be you're a beginner and you don't know where to begin, you're taking it through, or they had some superb runners that just happily ran with everybody else and shared their experiences and things. It was just really good, and it was a tenner.
Wow.
It cost a tenner, and that was it. Because
I've looked at 1 or 2 other events, and the only reason I didn't, because you did tell me about this one ahead of time, but there was something that I had on that clashed with it, some family commitment or something. There was a solid, I can't remember now, but there was a solid reason why I couldn't make it there, because I was very interested, which is why I wanted to ask you about it. And I've looked at some other ones, and they're hundreds of pounds.
No, this is,
and this one sounds really good.
It is.
It sounds like a fell race version of this kind of event.
It is. It was great. Well, I did 50k that weekend, and I did the Round Sheffield run. I did a couple of 5ks, a couple of 10ks, because I also went to the trail school to improve running technique and all the rest of it, which you pay extra for, but it still wasn't extortionate. But I didn't have to pay for the big weekend, so we got to do all sorts. There was a session on using walking poles, a session on how to take photographs when you're running, a session how to get the best composition and what have you.
I'm just laughing after the I don't know if you've seen the selfie that I took during a fell race the other night. It's pretty terrible.
So they had all sorts going on, so there's something for everybody. There really, really was something for everybody. And so they're running again next year. It has gone up a little bit in price. It will be £15, but it's still
extortionate.
but it's still really, really reasonable.
yeah, I'll try.
keep you posted.
Yeah, I'll try even harder to get to it.
Yeah, really good, really good.
It's just all this.
The only thing I will do this year is stay over, because I was commuting back and forth from Sheffield, and that was tiring.
That was in March. Yeah, it might be that it clashes with my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
that might be the.
That,
yeah, we went away as we usually do. Yeah, I thought there was some kind of commitment that was getting in the way of it. So well, maybe we'll have a wedding anniversary in Sheffield next year.
I don't think you're going to get away with it. Wouldn't risk that. But no, it was a really, really good weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Got the miles in and slept incredibly well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds very good, and because I think one of the things that's difficult, I've been going to some track sessions with the club that I'm in, and it's really great because there's qualified coaches giving up their time. We'll pay a very small nominal fee, which is just covering the cost of the track. So the coaches are giving up their time for free, and I have got faster by doing those track sessions. The thing that's in my mind is that's only on the flat.
What happens with hills?
And so like you say, when you mention
a lot of clubs you do find do have those sessions. I certainly know our club does it. Unfortunately, I can't go because it's on my only night off. I was like, okay, I suppose I better see the kids. But a lot of clubs actually do those for nominal fee. Yeah, so like you say, those kinds of things you can get from your clubs are really, really good. But I am interested, especially having seen success from having done that. Yes. That, I mean, I guess at the end of it, like I did a fell race the other night, and the very last bit of the fell race where you're coming into the finish was on the flat, and I took a couple of places. Yeah, because I've got faster. It makes a difference doing these things, and now even more so want to do more of it, and want to look at technique going up and down hills, especially. And this is where this would come in beautifully for you, because they show you how to write training plans to include hill repeats and what to do on hills and how to run them the most effectively and safely, but also to get the most out of them. And it's the same with running downhill as well. That's great.
I mean, my method so far has been if I like to race trail ultras. That's my thing. So I do fell races, which is more technical but shorter. So I'm doing them while I'm fresh, and and doing the more technical descents as well as the ascents, and then when I come onto the trails, I'm thinking, it's a doddle. I'm used to this, so even when I'm tired, I'm less likely to hurt myself, and that kind of basic method's working for me, but. Could you get better faster with a bit of coaching? I'm sure you could. I'm
pretty sure you could. Find a technical hill around here. I can point you in the direction of one. A couple of hill repeats up that. Cheesenab Hill.
Where's that?
Skulls Way.
Right.
Yeah. It's a killer.
Yeah, I'll get the exact location off you after this. Because I mean, what I'm kind of finding now is up to a certain gradient, and I was actually sat staring at gradients on Strava, like trying to work out what the percentage was, and I've forgotten already. But up to a certain gradient, I'm kind of cruising it, and I've got the option of how fast I go. And there's a certain gradient, about 25% or something. When I get above that, I just fall apart. It's not like it's just slow down. It's just like,
But in reality, there normally isn't that many hills above 25%.
Well, there is if you go into mountain running.
Exactly. But in your day to day, there aren't that many. Which is why you haven't got the exposure to and the experience of.
Well, that's right. I mean, the only one I've got around here really is Scammerden Steps.
They're a killer.
Yeah. So it's doing more of those, and I'm kind of thinking now I need to be running up and down there on the grass at the side of the steps.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's down as well as up.
Yes.
So
that can be interesting.
Yeah, but then
buoyancy aid just in case. Shoot at the end.
Well, it's it's like you were saying though, it's about, well, where do you put that in your training plan?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be, especially the downs are going to be, it's going to be aggressive on my quads, and I don't want to do that on a really big week.
No.
I think that wants to come in on a lower mileage week.
Yes.
And it's trying to fight.
But you don't want it in your recovery week
exactly,
either.
Yeah, and it's trying to get that balance where you're recovered enough.
Yeah, to be able to. I've just had that conversation with my coach actually as we're writing the training plan for my next event, which is in September. And again, we're building the hills because it's a particularly hilly course. So this next 8 weeks, we're building strength and stamina on hills. So that I am going to have lots of hill repeats. Yeah. I'll drag you over and all the rest of it. And then easing off the 8 weeks leading into it. So that's how we're fitting, getting around that, how we fit that into the training plan. That's how we're doing that one.
Talking of lots of hills, in May, do you sign up to these hill climb challenges on Strava?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did this. I especially did this because I knew I could reach it.
I was second out of everybody I follow. And
yes, you were.
Only Howard Drake up ahead of me.
I wasn't that far behind because during the Cotswolds I got 210% in that alone. I thought, I'm so glad I signed up.
Yeah, well, I was getting over 100% a day on the Lakeland 3D event.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the end of time I finished Cotswold,
13,000 something metres I did in May.
Oh. I thought I was doing well with 6,000.
Yeah. 13 something I ended up on.
Wow,
that is the most I've done in a month.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I mean, it was kind of front loaded and my distance has been backloaded through the month.
Yeah.
I have had to kind of, I couldn't maintain that rate of ascent through the whole month.
But people do. I don't know how they do it. It's insane.
I think it's a lot to do with the strength of your legs.
Yeah. Oh, so very much so.
I do kind of focused gym sessions for that. Just wake that thing up again. And
is that the hint that we've been talking too long?
Probably, yeah. But it is part of the whole kind of thing that I'm aiming for is keep putting the strength in, because at the moment I've got another run to do tomorrow, and this week will be the biggest distance training week I've ever done.
Right.
Which has been built up to.
Yeah.
And then next week's going to back off from that, which is the right way to do it.
Absolutely. Got recovery weekend.
But this week I've also done 3 gym sessions.
Oh, great.
Now, again, it was kind of, you see, the only thing I kind of went against my plan was because there was a bank holiday Monday. So I did some extra stuff because it's a bank holiday and I've got time and I'm not going to do it any other time. So
no. You can't waste bank holiday Mondays.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I did a bit more there, but that then meant essentially my run today was a bit shorter. And my run tomorrow will be a bit shorter, so the total for the week is exactly on plan. That's the way I do it to kind of keep, because life gets in the way of things.
It does, and you kind of need that flexibility. And yes, you might have the plan, but there's still be flexibility within it.
Yes,
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I've, like I say, hitting this level of distance yet, and it's I think like when I look on like my club on Strava, and there's some very good runners in my club. Top for ascent this month. Yeah. This week as well. I'm not top for distance. There's some very good runners, but I'm top for ascent, and my legs are actually recovering.
But then you've got the strength and all the rest of it in there, which you may not have had. But it's finding that balance. It really, really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big part of it is since I've come into this training block, so far so good. I'm being very disciplined about the vast majority of my runs being a very controlled pace. Yeah. And it's controlled on heart rate. Yes. Especially while I'm doing so many hills.
And are you doing your watch or a chest one?
It's a chest strap.
Yeah, because it's more accurate than your watch. More accurate.
So yeah, I mean, that's why I feel I'm able to kind of push on to another level. My peak training in this block is going to be higher than any previous one, but not by too much. No, either.
No, and then that would be set ready to go.
Yeah.
End of July.
Yeah, get ready end of July for the Lakeland 100. So what's yours at the end of September?
I'm doing Dig Deep 30.
Dig Deep 30.
So that's 30 miles around the Peak District.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that looks good. That might have been the one that was going. I did a run with a friend one day last September. I'm sure it was last September.
Yeah, it goes around Bradwell and Hathersage and all that lot.
Yeah, because we'd been into Alp kits, so either before or after, I can't remember now. But yeah, we went round there and we bumped into a load of people.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that we're doing.
That could well be, because they
look like they're having lots of fun.
There's 3 races going on. So there's one that's 12.12 miles, 12.12 miles, so 12.12. There's the Dig Deep 30, and then there's the Dig Deep 60.
Yeah.
All going on the same day, round the same area.
It must have been that day that we did a loop around there, around the hills. It was about 12 miles or something.
Yeah, so that's how it was. So that's what that one is. That's the next big one.
Yeah. So we should definitely go and do some hills together.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take you to Scamondon Steps,
and I'll take you
to this other one.
Sounds good to me. That sounds, I think.
Then we can both cry.
You made me do this. Yeah, you know what we said about mental resilience earlier? Forget it. Actually, not far from mine is a pub. What's at the bottom of Scamondon?
At the bottom, not a lot. You've got to get back to the top to get back to your car.
Oh, great.
Yeah, there's really not a lot at the bottom of the valley. Yeah. And so just plant a little seed in your mind. My mountain rescue team's doing a fundraiser at the end of August.
Right.
You can do a 6-hour, a 12-hour, or a 24 to escape from Marsden stocks.
Oh, great. Okay.
So in the centre of the village, there's some. They're not actually stocks, because I believe stocks are for your legs, and the ones that you put your hands through on.
They're both, aren't they? You can get stocks for your legs and stocks for your hands and heads.
The ones for your hands have actually got a different. It was MQI.
Oh, right. Okay.
They've technically got a different name, but I can't remember what it is.
Okay,
but everyone calls them stocks.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently I've got to represent the team in the 24-hour category.
Go for it.
But yeah, I thought you might want to have a go at the 6-hour or something.
Yeah, give us some information. Please share it on Team Huddersfield as well.
Yes, we'll do.
And we'll get some.
Yeah, I think it's I think just on Friday all the information's kind of properly sorted out and it's just gone live, and Brilliant. I've just been completely snowed under since Friday, so I haven't done anything with it yet.
No worries.
But yeah, I will share that about, because
it's.
I think it's a £30 entry, which is on the cheap side for that type of event.
Isn't it? Yes.
And the vast majority of that money, I think the only thing, in fact, I think the trackers, I don't know if we're paying for them or they're being donated, but that is the only thing that's being paid for, potentially. Right. Everything else is being donated, and people's time and everything else.
And is it through the night? Obviously your 24 hours is going to be through the night.
Yes, so the way it's
and is it for teams or relays or?
It's you can either do it as individuals or as a pair. The 24-hour starts at 7 p.m. on the Friday night, so it finishes 7 p.m. Saturday night, and then the others are starting, so they all finish at the same time.
Oh, brilliant!
Which is a.
So they all finish at 7 o'clock at night.
They all finish at 7 o'clock on the Saturday night.
Fab. And then is there a party?
Well, there is for the dot watchers. But it's escape from Marsden, so you're getting as far away as you can.
Oh, flip.
So all your friends and family that want to dot watch can go down to Mountain Rescue headquarters, see it on the screen and have a party. Ooh, but we're going to be miles away, and hopefully somebody's going to come and pick us up. That's the only thing about it, is that
I'm wondering, can I get home from Marsden in 6 hours?
Oh, easy.
Damn.
Of course you can. That's too easy. Got to go further than that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try and get quite a long way.
You are in 24 hours.
Yeah. I've got a rough idea of what I want to do. I need to map it out fully.
Think about that one.
Yeah, it's the last weekend in August off the top of my head. But it's a month after the Lakeland 100, which is a bit close. Yeah.
But hey.
Yeah. When people spring these things on you and say you have to represent the mountain rescue team that you volunteer for, you think, oh, you can't really say no.
You can, but we're just not very good at it.
Yeah, we wouldn't get involved in so many silly things if we said no to things.
No. I can't possibly comment.
Right. Well, I think we should probably wrap up there.
I think so. Before we come up with any ideas.
Otherwise we'll end up committing to some other crazy things. Well, thank you very much for coming along. It's been very interesting hearing about the Cotswold Way.
Thank you for sharing about your experience too.
Yeah.
Possibly next year's, we'll see.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend, and sounds like you would also highly recommend the Cotswold Way.
Oh, definitely.
The Silva Great Lakeland 3-day event.
And Cotswolds Run 101 for anybody just even dabbling, because they can do it. You can shorten it to a 2-day event. It's still classed as an ultra. I was so well looked after, because I most certainly recommend it. So well looked after.
Right.
Lovely.
Well,
thank you very much.
Thanks for coming along. So, and thanks everybody for listening. And please like and share and tell your friends about us. And we'll be back soon.
We will.
Thank you.